Halo 3 ODST is the best game in the Halo series. In fact, its only close competitor is Halo 2. Halo 3 ODST is dripping with atmosphere, with half the game taking place in a noir-like city littered with brutes, grunts, and jackals, and the other half of the game piecing together the events that all lead back to real time. Halo 3 ODST started its production when Peter Jackson's Halo Chronicles fizzled out and died along with his Halo film that was to be directed by District 9's Neil Blomkamp. Thanks to the cancellation of Halo Chronicles, a team within Bungie was left with nothing to do while Halo reached into production. With some time to spare, Bungie figured they could make a whole new game within the time between Halo 3 and Halo Reach. At one point, they even thought about making this a game around an elite Covenant strike force, however they decided to focus on humans, with him even at one point looking into making a Sergeant Johnson game. Eventually, they figured out that making a game about the ODSTs, a smaller strike force seen in Halo 2 and 3, would be a far more interesting game. The story of the game takes place 6 hours after a botched landing of ODSTs onto a Covenant dropship above New Mombasa. The player, as a rookie, is a new ODST who's
a strong silent type,
who, despite never speaking, is filled with tons of personality, emanating from him in almost every cutscene. From him trying to straighten a bent sniper rifle to spinning a leftover part of a bomb with his finger. The rookie is both full of personality and a blank enough slate to immerse yourself in. As you travel through an abandoned New Mombasa, he connects the dots as we do, learning the whereabouts of his team as we play the missions, leading the team back to one another by the end of the game. Buck tries to find Veronica Dare. He ends up finding her pod empty, her helmet off and on the ground, and his fellow ODST Romeo. Dutch drops in a nature reserve, he takes a ghost and jumps out on the reserve and on the New Mombasa city streets where he meets up with Mickey, who took a tank and used it to beat the shit out of the Coveys. After both of them meet up, they get tasked with blowing a bridge to an O&I building, and after that doesn't end up holding the Covenant off, they end up blowing the entire building to the ground and meeting up with Buck and Romeo, who concurrently were moving rooftop to rooftop to try to get to the top of New Mombasa's police department. On the helipad of the police department, Romeo gets hacked up by a brute using a gravity hammer so badly that he can hardly stand up, even with some assistance. But eventually the crew steals a Phantom from the Covenant, and eventually the two stories merge, with the rookie meeting up with Dare and eventually going through the tunnels to try to get to the Superintendent, who was an AI that had been assisting the rookie throughout the game, using billboards, phones, and other means. It turns out that the Superintendent, Virgil, merged with an engineer, a species that is both a living shield generator and a living explosive. You're tasked with protecting the engineer, who merged with Virgil, up onto the city streets as you meet up with Buck again. Eventually, you find a smaller version of an elephant that Virgil climbs in, pushes his shields around the vehicle, and him and Dare travel down a highway while you and Buck gun down any Covenant forces you see that attack the smaller elephant. Inevitably though, as you go down the highway, you eventually find the outside of Uplift Reserve's front entrance, where you hold up defenses and battle it out before Phantom with the rest of the ODST crew arrives. And the game cuts to credits once you get on. An end-credit stinger plays out with Sergeant Avery Johnson asking Virgil for Covenant secrets, while Virgil lights a cigar for Johnson. The cast for this game is so good it should have been the cast of a Halo film, for fuck's sakes. You've got Trisha Helfer, number 6 from Battlestar Galactica, as Veronica Dare, an ONI agent with her own mission outside of the ODSTs. You've got Alan Tudyk of Tucker and Dale vs. Evil fame. You've got Nathan, Captain Hammer Fillion. You've also got John fucking Casey Adam Baldwin as well. Oh yeah, these three were on the show that got canceled too. That's... Also, don't forget Nolan North, because he's gotta be in every video game ever made. It's just a contractual thing. And these characters play off each other so well that it makes you feel like they've been doing this for years, and that's crucial in making this kind of story work. Now, while I don't have my own footage of this because the Master Chief Collection version doesn't have it yet, and I can't seem to find my 360 version, I'm going to go through and talk about my personal experience with Firefight. Firefight took the concept of a horde mode, which was really popular around the time of Halo 3 ODST's release, and Haloized it. Firefight was the main multiplayer mode. ODST didn't have a competitive multiplayer mode. That was saved for a disc that only had Halo 3's multiplayer, like everything, all the DLC for it, all there. Now, Firefight has rounds, sets, and waves. 5 waves in a round, 3 rounds in a set, and as many sets as you can last, with chances to get extra lives at the end of each set. Firefight, especially with 4 players, is a hell of an experience. The skulls pile on, and eventually your ammo runs out, and Firefight becomes an almost desperate struggle to stay alive. You're grabbing any weapon you can find, throwing any grenades you grab, trying to hold on to what little foothold you've got in this area, until that final life passes. It's such a different experience compared to similar modes like Horde mode in Gears of War or COD Zombies. There's no buying guns, there's no buyable defenses, and no easy ways out. Just you, your friends, and weapons you find. Firefight would later come back in Halo Reach, but in that game, since he plays a Spartan 3, it's honestly a lot easier. And then later in Halo 5, came back as Warzone Firefight. It's a fun mode, but it's a whole different beast. 8 players and using rec cards to get special weapons. It's fun, but sadly Firefight isn't anywhere near as close as intense as it was in Halo 3 ODST. It's a shame. Halo 3 ODST is so bold. Between its cityscape, its music, its non-linear design for most of the missions, and the city exploration and that visor, it doesn't feel like a traditional Halo game. That's not a bad thing. You don't play as a Spartan 2, and thankfully Bungie understood that. The tight FOV of Halo 3 works far better in ODST than it ever did in Halo 3. Healing isn't automatic, and if your screen's red and you take more hits after, you'd better find them. Healthcare on demand. The movement speed feels slightly slower than Halo 3, but that's a good thing. It makes the rookie feel like he's choosing his steps, especially while crouched, making stealth kills far more viable than in 3 and Reach. And speaking of stealth, rookie signature weapons are both suppressed, marking the first time suppressed weaponry would ever appear in the Halo series, later coming back in Halo 5. It also reintroduced a scope onto the pistol. The pistol's also one of the most useful weapons that a rookie can use. A plasma pistol or a brute plasma rifle, it's downright overpowered. Halo 3 ODST was the first Halo game made by Bungie after they went independent from Microsoft, and the second to the last game of the series made by them. It was followed up by the prequel Halo Reach, and I know I'm going to get some shit for saying this, but Reach is a far lesser game than Halo 3 ODST. Its story just feels weak. Noble Six isn't anywhere near as charming as a protagonist as the rookie is, he's nowhere near as personable. He really does feel more like a blank slate, and the story of Reach retcons some things from the novels, and that irks the hell out of me. Every character felt like they had a timer above their heads waiting for them to die. I know I stole that from Yahtzee, but he's right. And Bloom fucking sucked, and people still defend that shit. Although Reach had some of the best customs of all time, so it's not all bad. The series would be continued by 343 Industries, named after 343 Guilty Spark, and without making a pun, they've been trying to recapture the spark of the series for a while now. And Halo 4 was an attempt. The story was fine, but the multiplayer was all the bad things from Halo Reach, but somehow worse. And Halo 5 being a great multiplayer game with some of the best forged in the series, but also perhaps having the most bland story in a Halo game so far. Bungie left for more creative freedom and shacked up with Activision, in that twist of irony, and made the Destiny series, and the less said about that the better. Halo 3 ODST truly is lightning in a bottle. In a series set around epic, amazing set pieces with massive scopes, the best game in the series is a game that tightens that scope close, focuses inward on a more personal journey. Still epic, with amazing set pieces, but on a far smaller scale and drenched in a style that is nothing the series had done up to that point, and that the series will never do again. It's a small, intimate game that is both an outlier in its own series, and the best Halo game ever made. Hello everyone, if you liked this video, please click subscribe, hit the bell icon, all of that. If you're interested in the next video that I'm making, if you stay right to the end here, there's gonna be a little teaser for it. But I'm starting to get more free time to make more videos, so everything's going good. Also, go subscribe to my friend Claw there. He's making really good shit, and have a good one.
It never gets old. Overwhelming, isn't it?